got life, such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth hold you, take care of you, and nurture you. Oh, the power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on us. The power of love is here now.
Hello and welcome to Badass Boundaries. I just want to check in who's here. Please type in the chat box where you're calling in from. It's always fun to see where people are calling in from. Let me see if I can see the chat. So in case anybody doesn't know, there's a chat box at the bottom in the middle. And you can just type their answers: Cape Town, South Africa, South Africa, South Africa, Durban. I've always wanted to go. My dream is to go on safari. When I can travel, this is just definitely on my bucket list. And I have so many friends there as well. And let me see who else is here. Cape Town, you're all in Cape Town. Wow. Just a moment. We're just going to do a few tech things. Yes. So for all of you, if you also want to raise your hand, there should be instructions how to raise your hand. If they're not there already, my VA will type in the instructions how to raise your hand at any point. Okay. South London, we've got someone from the UK. Yay! It's going to be interesting to see who else comes on. So we'll just unmute for a moment and all just say a big hello from everywhere, from wherever we are across the world.
Hello.
Hello.
South London.
Hi. Hello from Durban.
It's lovely to hear your voices.
Hello from Cape Town.
Yay! I'm coming, 2021.
We'll wait for you.
Okay, so before we begin, I just want to ask you a few questions, and I just invite you to type a Y or a yes in the chat box if you can relate to what I'm talking about. So I'm curious, how many of you find yourself saying yes on autopilot without even thinking, and then later wondering, what in the heck was I thinking? Just let me know if you relate to that. Okay. Oh, I can't see anyone. And how many of you find that you overcommit yourself to people, to things? Oh, I can't see the messages. Okay, I don't know why. They're not sure. Oh, yes, now I see them. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm still learning this technology thing. And how many of you are worried that you'll disappoint others if you say no? I know that was a big one for me. Or afraid of the repercussions if you actually said no. Maybe hurting someone's feelings, or them being angry, or even your own story of you know, thinking you're selfish or not a nice person to say no to people. And it's different in different situations. I think, you know, we have issues. Some of us have more of the boundary setting at work, some of them more with our partner, some with our kids, some with all of the above. So I'm interested if you can type who you find it most challenging to set a boundary with in your life. Work, kids, partner, parents, work. Yeah, parents is a hard one. I think with anyone that we feel is an authority figure in our life, it can feel really challenging to set a boundary. And even as adults, it's sometimes really challenging to set boundaries with our family members. And it's just know that you're not alone. I've been coaching women all around the world from their teens to their 60s. And it's very interesting across all the cultures and across all the ages. So many women have trouble setting healthy boundaries. And it really surprised me. I thought with the younger generation it would be easier, but they also, especially with the authority figures, with people at work, the parents, they still have issues. And I think for women, and I'm not going to be exclusive for women because there may be some men here, I can see Owen. It's also an issue for men, but I think with women, it's in our DNA. It's passed down the lineage. And, you know, there's so many stories of guilt, or that you don't appreciate people. There's so many stories attached. I think starting off in childhood, it begins as a child, where we are very challenged when we say no. And this happens in our upbringing at different phases of life. And the problem with not being able to set boundaries, healthy boundaries with people, is that we begin to burn ourselves out. I can speak for myself. Okay. So I know that this has been one of my biggest life challenges, and this is why I'm doing this talk. I had trouble setting boundaries. I burnt myself out. I would say yes at all different times. I would drop everything for people, and I would be continually exhausting myself. And the interesting thing was that I also found it difficult to ask for what I needed, to say what I felt. And I think often when we have problems with boundaries, we also have issues with asking for what we want and getting what we want in life. The boundaries are not only with other people, but I think even with ourselves. We can put up boundaries around asking, and we can put up boundaries to people and also to ourselves. And it can be really challenging letting support into your life when you can't ask for what you want and what you need. And often it's difficult to set boundaries when you want to get people's approval. And I'm interested to hear how many of you have an issue with people pleasing, just wanting to be nice, just wanting to please others, do the right thing. Yes, yes. I know for me, I often didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to I didn't want to rock the boat by saying no. I didn't want to rock the boat by asking for support. I didn't want to rock the boat for asking for my needs to be met or to share my feelings. I think in my own life, I was very much a peacemaker, always trying to gain the equilibrium. And in having that pattern, I realized that I began to enable people's behavior. Initially, and I've found this with many women I've coached too, in not setting boundaries, we're in a place of victimhood versus empowerment. And when we can't ask for our needs to be met, it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult in life to see when we don't get what we get, that it is a part of what we facilitate by how we respond to others or how we don't respond. For example, not saying, saying yes when we don't want to, not saying no when we really need to. And when we don't do that, we enable people to treat us a certain way. And that can set us up for really feeling like victims, in the workplace, in our family, with our partner, even with our friends out in the world. So, yes, especially in our industry of health and well-being, thanks, Tracy, many of our personalities are people pleasers. Yes. It's, it's so true. And it's often in the, in the healing arts, we're trying so hard to accommodate, to please. A lot of us are empaths. Who here would identify as an empath? Yes, Priscilla. Yes, Norina. Yes, Lucinda. Yes. And often we're so empathic to what other people are feeling or wanting or how they react, how they respond to a situation, that we kind of disconnect from what we're really, really needing. And this is one of the things that affects many people too, when they're always pleasing others, people pleasing. We tend to disconnect from our own needs, from our own desires, what we need to do. And when we disconnect from our needs, we disconnect from, so many good things in our life. We numb out. We can even disassociate. Has anyone heard of disassociation or relate to disassociating from their feelings, from their needs? Yes, 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 thanks, Owen, Stefan. Hey, it's great to have some guys here. I want to welcome the men here, because this talk is catered to women, but we're all humans. We've all have the feminine and the masculine within. And yeah, I can really acknowledge that some men have trouble setting boundaries too. And one of the interesting things I've discovered, it's a bit off topic, but it's kind of on topic. When we don't set boundaries, we often attract narcissistic behavior from others and expectations. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah, yeah. So yes, when we don't set boundaries, people will tend to push us and want more. And as I said, we burn out. So it's so important. So many women, the statistics are huge, are burning out from trying to fulfill too many roles, please too many people at the expense of themselves. And we just disconnect. And the the statistics of women suffering from depression and anxiety, and I'll say people too, men too, is phenomenal. And I feel that there's a connection too when we don't have boundaries, we don't connect with what we're feeling, we disconnect, we disassociate, we often split off, and we can go either into anxiety of people pleasing or showing up or trying to perform. And often it sets us up for perfectionism, for trying to do everything perfect, never enough. And on the flip side, it can really bring people spiraling down into depression. And I'm curious from who's here, which end of the spectrum do you identify more with? Feeling down and victimized, or feeling anxious and needing to perform, needing to please? Okay. I'll just leave it another minute. I'm really, really curious. Anxiety around the need to please. In between, yes. Yes, Owen, we can also fluctuate. Anyone else have anything to contribute? Needing to please. Yep. Yep, can totally relate to that. Okay. Beautiful. So it's really important for us to set boundaries, to have healthy relationships, to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, our body, and our health. Because I find when we don't set boundaries, we often neglect the things that we need to do, having the exercise, having enough time out to do the things we enjoy. When we're always running around, when we're always trying to perform, perfect, or please, we neglect ourselves. So this is one, huge piece. And then the second piece is it can really interfere with our relationships, with having healthy relationships. And when we're always pleasing, the feedback that I've gotten from previous partners, and also some of my clients have gotten from partners and people in their life, is that people don't feel that they're being authentic, because they're trying so hard to perform, so hard to step up to a certain standard and do the right thing, that often for the other person it feels like they don't know who you are. And I can so deeply relate to that. I don't know if anybody else can. Has anybody else had that feedback or experienced it with someone who tries so hard, but you don't really feel that you know who this person is? And that it's hard to go deeper in relationship with them when they don't communicate what they need. They don't communicate their limits. It can keep things on such a superficial level. And once we can express our needs and our preferences, it can sometimes rock the boat initially in relationships, because we're doing something different and people don't like it. But I've found when I've taken the risk and gone there, it's deepened the relationship. It shows our vulnerability. It shows who we really are and what we really want in relationship with that person, what we need, the quality of relationship we want, how to make things work, how to make the dynamics work between you and the other person or the other people around you. So for authentic communication, we need good boundaries. And the boundaries are not just about saying no to others. This is a really important part. The boundary is also around saying yes to ourselves and to yes to things that we want. So the boundary is not about putting up walls. The boundary is something that you can take up or put down, and you can basically utilize to create more fulfillment, more connection in relationships, more authenticity. So yes, there's also another part with boundaries. We often feel we have to respond with a yes or a no, that people want an answer immediately. Can anyone else relate to that? The sense that someone asks you something and you've got to come up with an answer straight away. Yes. Yes. I know I used to feel almost anxious sometimes when people asked me for something and I felt I had to respond straight away and I didn't have a chance to really check in. So an important part of boundaries is not just the yes and the no, but the maybe. Sometimes we need to take time to reflect, to think about things. And when I'm not sure, and even as a habit initially, if I think I'm sure and I tend to respond on autopilot, I've practiced saying maybe. I'll get back to you soon. Let me think about it. And that can give us the space to really tune in to what it is that we need. And so often the response comes from the mind versus from the body. And often our body knows more what we need than the mind. Has anyone heard of gut feelings or had a gut feeling of like, I know this is the right thing or the wrong thing? Just typing a quick yes if you can relate to the gut feelings. Yes. And out of you, I'm wondering how many of you listen to your gut feelings? This is the interesting piece. And how many of you honor your gut feelings? Two. Okay, I'm re-recording again. All right, so starting from where we stopped on the re-record. Yes, as I mentioned before, often we have a feeling in the body, but we ignore these feelings. And sometimes with time, we begin to disconnect with our gut feelings of what we know is right for us. And so this is really on a body level. So the first step of creating healthy boundaries is really connecting with what's happening in your body. So I'm going to invite you all into a meditation. So wherever you are, just inviting you to gently close your eyes. And connect with the breath, just observing the breath, tracing the pathway of the breath as it enters the body and as it leaves the body. And allowing the breath to deepen a little. And now I invite you to Allow yourself to ride the waves of the breath and to drop into a deeper place of relaxation and really connect with the sensations inside your body. Just noticing if there's any areas of tension, and just bringing the breath in there. And with the inhale, just focusing on that part of the body, and on the exhale, just relaxing that part of the body wherever you feel tension, and just scanning around your body, different areas of your body, seeking out any sensations now. So perhaps beginning to scan from the soles of your feet all the way up the body, and just noticing any sensation. It could be a tickling, a twitching, a tension, or maybe even a softening and an opening. And each area that you're aware of, inviting you as you bring the attention up the body, just to notice the quality of sensation in that part of the body, and just naming it to yourself silently. For example, soles of the feet softening, calves relaxing, tension behind the kneecaps. And so as you scan through the body, from the feet all the way up, just naming the different areas and the sensations that you're feeling. And moving up, you may feel a tightness in your belly or a hesitation or a relaxation. And notice also if in that part of the body you get a sense, not only the physical sensation, but just be aware if there's an emotion or a feeling that you connect with. As you connect with that part of the body, just observing, naming, acknowledging, and then moving on to the next part of the body mind. So as we do this, we're just naming, we're letting go of the story, of the meaning of what the sensation means, and just being present with whatever's there, and accepting what's there, whatever that is. No judgment, no assessment, simply witnessing. And just making sure that you're still connected with the breath, that you're still aware of breathing in and out of the body, and make sure that your jaw is soft and relaxed, that there's no tension. And just connecting with a couple more areas of the body before we come back into the space again. And just inviting you to wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and have a nice big stretch. Just noticing different sounds around you in your environment, maybe even the sound of my voice. And just ever so gently opening your eyes and coming back into the space. Okay, so I'd just like to check in how that was for you. So inviting you to unmute and just share a little bit about how that experience was, what you noticed.
That was very beautiful. Just incredible settling and a recognitive reminder that we need to step into and remind ourselves being in the power of now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thanks, Christine. Anyone else?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I think it's wonderful to help people to connect to their body and their mind at the same time, because as I mentioned in the chat earlier, most of us, according to my experience in my practice as well, too much in their heads and forget to connect with their body. So a meditation like this is really important to do on a daily basis, and it reminds me as well, because I look after myself last. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And yeah, that is so true. And this is just the first step. Like, I have a 3-step process that I go through. And this is just the first part. I'm actually going to gift you all a 3-part audio, which my VA is going to put the link into the chat so that you can go through the three phases. And so the first one is connecting with the body. When we don't connect with the body, we don't even understand what we feel or we need. So the first step is just to reconnect. So we're not responding on autopilot. We're actually checking in. And this is where I say sometimes if you're not sure, you're better off to give people a maybe and I'll get back to you, and check in with your body. And the second audio we're going to do, we're not going to go through all the processes, we don't have time, but you can do it by yourself. The second one is to engage your senses, because we're so often controlled by our thoughts or overtaken by our emotions. And I'm going to introduce you in this second audio that you'll receive to tap into a more effective navigation system to align you with with your inner truth, what's true for you in that moment, rather than what your mind is telling you. The shoulds, I should be doing this. This is how I'm supposed to be responding. And the third audio is fabulous. It's called Self-Love in Action. And so many of us lack the skills and the confidence to create healthy boundaries. And in the third audio, you're going to practice taking action from a place of self-love and respect from your own needs. So when you receive this audio, when you download these 3 audios, I recommend that you listen to number 1 a number of times until before going to number 2, there's no rush into this. And just really get that connection in your body and just practice going through your day and having that inner body awareness. And then the second one, when you feel that you've got a sense of that, you can do the second one, which is beautiful. It really connects you with all your senses. And I encourage you to listen to that as many times as you need to really connect with that. And then the third one is fantastic, especially if you're about to have a conversation with someone that you feel you really lose your sense of self with, that you lose your sense of what you want. And before an important meeting, even at work, a difficult conversation with a partner, this is a great one to play. And this is where you get to practice. You actually get to play it out in your mind. You do the scenario using the other 2 tools all together, and you can bounce back and forth between them. Because we look at boundaries, everybody's going, boundaries is going, badass boundaries is going, yes, no, I'm not going to do this, building up walls. This is not it. To me, badass boundaries is being really loving with ourselves. It's really listening to ourselves deeply and responding to what feels deeply aligned for us. So I encourage you to explore this whole different realm of setting boundaries based on, that sensory, that somatic connection, that sensory connection in the body. And I would love for all of you to Facebook friend me and to give me some feedback. Let me know how you go in the process. I'm very friendly. I'll answer you. I'm always curious, how people go in the process. And so I think as a summary of all this, before I continue, there's a few key things I just want to bring back. You have a choice of yes, no, or maybe, putting things on pause until you're sure. And really, the other one is to really reflect where your motivation is coming from. Are you trying to please people? Are you being a perfectionist? Where is it that you're coming from when you respond? So start to be mindful. And if you mess up, don't worry, you'll get it better the next time. It's like building muscles in the gym. You've got to keep going back and doing it, and you'll get it better and better. And just be really kind and forgiving with yourself if you don't get it. It'll get easier as time goes on. I mean, I know I would think that I've got it and I'd blow it, and it just takes practice. And sometimes I still blow it. But the great thing is, once you understand this stuff, you can take it back. When you're in a situation with people, you can just go, oh my God, I wasn't in tune with myself. This really doesn't feel right for me. Because sometimes we think when we respond to people, it's set in stone. We have to do it. We said this, we've got to yes, we've got to no, we've got to do whatever. You don't. You can take it back. You can reflect. You can share with people. And the other part I mentioned too was being vulnerable and expressing your feelings, expressing your needs. to people. And I guess depending on the level of intimacy, you'll monitor what feels safe with that person. But start with little things, baby steps. You don't have to do something big that's super threatening. Start with the tiniest little boundaries and work your way up to bigger things and bigger things. Let it be a gradual process. And I just want to say one thing. It's not about getting it right or getting it perfect. It's about getting it started. Just start the process. Start it now. Begin by downloading these audios. They're only like 12 to 15 minutes each. They don't take long, but they're valuable tools for life. Download them on your iPhone, on your computer. Have them there ready. You can do it on the commute. You can do it, in the morning, in the evening. They're just easy to incorporate into the day, and just begin, this will begin to turn things around. And I also wanted to let you know that I do regular masterclasses online for about 90 minutes where we purely do process. We don't do much discussion. We do about an hour of different body processes, meditations, and so forth. And my VA, Michelle, is going to place a link in there. If anybody wants to go on my bi-monthly newsletter, just copy the link and have it handy. And often, I have freebies or offers, different things come up. It's not spammy, it's not fluffy, it's really simple and to the point, and it lets you know what is going on. So if anyone wants to stay in the loop, please copy that link. And I just want to have another quick check-in with everyone. If anybody wants to have a last share or a takeaway that they've gotten from this call. Okay, and then the last thing, Priscilla is going to draw somebody from the group who gives a feedback on the call, because I love to have your feedback, and I know you can give some tech feedback, and I'll take that. I really apologize for that. And there's something I also want to gift you to make up for that too. So firstly, leave comments about the call on the main website, and a winner will be drawn, I think, in the next week or two, to have 1 hour free session with me. And you can bring anything to the table here. We're going to have a deep dive. And I will also put Chef Pete Evans. Haha, you're watching him, isn't he brilliant? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nirvana. Yeah, it's nice watching one of our Aussie icons. So the last thing I want to share before going is I would like to offer all of you the opportunity to get on a call with me for 20 minutes, a clarity call. And my VA, Michelle, will also put the link for that in the chat. Yep, the 20-minute clarity call. So all of you are eligible and welcome. You can bring something around boundaries. You can bring something else to the call, something that you want clarity around. And thank you so much for joining me once again. I deeply apologize for the disruption, but that's just the nature of technology. And I really appreciate that you all hung in here and you stayed on with me. for those of you who stayed on to the end. And there will be a recording of this as well that I forward to Priscilla that you can get online of this call. And I've got other things you will find in the shop available. Just have a browse. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you all. And I hope to meet some of you one day. Definitely Priscilla, I'm coming. And before we go, I'd like to invite you to turn your mics on, to turn your cameras on, and just have a goodbye together, to come together. Christine, Owen, Narina, who else is there? Wilma, Deborah, Priscilla. Blessings. Thank you everybody for coming and being a part of this, and sending you lots of love. Have a beautiful time. This is an amazing platform that Priscilla and her cohorts have created. This is just such a gift, you know, for everyone around the world at this time in COVID who are dealing with so much, to have accessibility to all these amazing speakers and tools. So I feel very honored and grateful to be here and to be a part of it. Thank you all, and looking forward to connecting with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mirella. Love you.
Mirella.
Bye.
Beautiful.